You are now fixated on the finest quality of educated and opinionated brothers, black brothers, who take the free time you most have generously donated to us and curate a channel free of fuckery or bullshit and write with wisdom and insight. We turn spoils to royal, we turn doodles to murals, we turn dollars to euros, weed to florals, or florals to weed, whatever you need. We proceed to give you these
and many more motherfucking episodes.
Yo, it's your boy Nikki Duce, aka It's Your Boy, and you're now tuned in to No Disrespect. How y'all doing?
Hey, we're back.
You're back.
We're back
I got
popping.
Imani and Neems in the building. Swaf is
took a day off.
doing some bullshit right
he's
now.
doing his best, okay?
But I'm glad to have you back, Neems.
I know,
Take you out of the books and shit like that.
Bruh, I was just talking to y'all about school. It's trash. Stay in school, kids.
Not that it's trash.
But it's trash. Just know the grind is real, but I'm glad to be back. I
Hey,
missed y'all.
We're here to support you. Whatever we can do to help another black woman get her degree.
Hey, I'm saying.
You're almost there, too.
Yeah.
So.
I know. Inshallah,
It's so close.
And by help, I mean I'm going to give you a blunt.
Oh,
But,
okay. The nigga tree I missed, bro.
But we got a very special guest joining us, basically in the role of Suave, but more important, I would say that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm
Slight shade.
when he ain't here, I'm going to talk shit. All right? 'Cause he was talking shit the last episode. But we got a very special guest, Chef JRob. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
pleasure to be on the show, man. Thank
Glad
for
to
having
have
me
you,
as a
man.
guest, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. We all got hit with that Atlanta traffic, so yeah.
Definitely
we know the
for an
struggle.
hour.
Yeah, we know the struggle of that. But we glad to have you here. But yeah, I felt like there's a lot of conversations going on in today's world, and I feel like we haven't had really a chance to talk about like nutrition or just black health, and as far as when it deals with like food. And we got, two chefs actually in the building. Like Imani actually does her own
I was so
side.
excited to meet you. I've been telling Nick all week.
She's got her own side business called
Okay.
Kerr Cooks. She started back in Cincinnati, and she's brought it down to ATL.
She is
From
amazing.
2016.
Me and Neems can attest to her cooking. 'Cause
Bruh,
that
threw down.
that Labor Day feast she prepared,
Mhm.
hey,
Bruh.
fire.
Okay.
Bruh.
So,
We'll talk after.
Yeah, we'll chat.
but so I wanted to like with me reaching out to you, Rob, and shit like that. It's just like I wanted to have this conversation just to see where we are in 2019 as far as black health. And but first, before we get into all that, I want to get to know you a little bit more and want the listeners to know your background and how you came up and to where you are right now. So, first question for you is like, when did you know you had a passion for cuisine and like just meal prepping and all that?
Yeah, man. Like, so when I get asked, so how'd you get into cooking? What made you start? How did Chef JRob come about? Like, it was a literal survival thing. When my parents dropped me off for college, because growing through high school, I played sports. It was the easy McDonald's, Burger King after practice. Take it to the crib. Maybe dad got some spaghetti on the table, or maybe my mom cooked something slight. But in college, like you fending for yourself. So, you get a meal card on campus, but you can only eat so many things. So, my parents was like, this money we give you, you're gonna make it stretch. We got a little hot skillet that you can plug up to the outlet. It's illegal in the dorms.
I was about to say, you
Yeah.
doing
It's
some
illegal as hell.
But,
we did a lot of legal shit in the dorms. Let's keep it a buck.
Okay.
My mom taught me the great craft of finesse. You know what I'm saying? So I propped open the window, and I would go get a pack of chicken, keep it in a little mini fridge, that we used to keep under our beds and stuff like that, and then just cook something slight, jambalaya, chicken breast by itself, even make a little chicken sandwich, throw it on some bread, like little simple stuff. But that one pack of chicken breast spread me through the full week, you know what I'm saying? So I was able to save money. And then, once I got the seasoning down pack and to stay out of trouble, I used to slide my RA and hall director like a meal or two to keep them on the hush so I wouldn't get in trouble. So I actually got asked to do a Black Student Union pageant. And I don't have a talent, I can't sing, I can't dance. I like to mess around, every now and then, but I didn't have nothing that could make me win. And one of my homegirls, she was like, you should cook, and I can record you, and you can play it on the big jumbotron, and make a name for yourself. I was like, that's a good idea. So shout out to Rachel. So what I did was I made a steak, and she recorded it, and I gave samples to the crowd. Now I didn't win the pageant, but that was the start. That was the day Chef JRob was born. So I was just this freshman kid on campus, what I'm saying? I dressed clean, and everybody's like, that's that dude that can cook. Oh, that's that dude that did that cooking video, blah, blah, blah. So that's how I slowly develop a name for myself. And then the passion just came out of just seeing people's reaction when they take that first bite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like my
What
motto,
school did you go to?
Auburn University.
Nice.
So, you know, it was really close knit, especially in the black community, because it's a predominantly white institution. So, you know, everybody of color, you know, knows everybody. You know what I'm saying? So that was a way that I really made a name for myself through cooking and seeing people's reactions when they take that first bite. That's why I like saying, like, I like to change lives one taste bud at a time. And that's really something that people should take into account is, you know, better eating and, you know, more healthier topics that we're going to touch on later.
Yeah. I think that's actually dope because I think a lot of black creatives, we always do things out of necessity.
Out of survival.
Right.
It always starts out of like a survival need. Yeah,
Exactly.
like as he
Time.
was saying his story, I was just like, yep.
Yeah.
College, yep.
You ain't had no choice.
Yeah.
Sink
so
or swim.
so the reaction that you got from the crowd, or just like even presenting yourself in a public forum like that, when did you know you could turn? Was that when you know you could turn this passion into like a business? Or?
It was like so many steps, you know, like so once I crossed my fraternity, I'm an alpha. Once I crossed, then we did Ladies Appreciation Nights. So their first Ladies Appreciation Night before I got into the chapter, they had like maybe 15, 20 girls come through. It was some fruit on the table, little glass of champagne.
Little hors d'oeuvres.
This
Yeah.
sounded like our alpha beverages and they did the
Chef
same shit for
JRob.
us.
Little
Yeah, so it
appetizers.
was like we might as well let me head the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Have our boys, stand behind me and roll stuff out the kitchen. And we had 75 females show up to that first one, my neo semester, and then following that, it jumped up to 100, and then 107, and then by the time I graduated, but. Ladies Appreciation Night picked up tremendously. That's what made me really just be like niggas was like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When you bring the ladies out, you know what I'm saying?
So that's
niggas.
how I got the title Your Girl's Favorite Chef.
Yeah.
That's what I call myself. That. So that was that. And then when I graduated, I took a gap year because I was going to school to become a physician assistant. And I took a gap year to enhance my GPA because it wasn't super competitive due to pledging and stuff like that. So I had all the other credentials, but I just needed that competitive GPA to really send me through. You know what I'm saying? So I took a gap year, went back home to Mobile, and was retaking classes and stuff like that. And from there, working in the hospital, people wanted me to cook, and I was like, yeah, can you make something for me and my husband? I don't feel like cooking after work. Nurses they work the 12-hour shifts. They don't feel like cooking when they get home. So when I did that, I was like, hey, you can just toss me the cost of groceries. It's like, no, I'll give you $50. I was like, $50? Like this is just something. Yeah, this is just something I just.
Groceries probably 20 if you're just talking about a two-person meal, but
Exactly.
you about to pay me a little extra.
So then when they started throwing me that $50, and then one nurse tells another nurse, and another nurse tells another nurse, you know what I'm saying, so forth and so on. It's just like, wow, I can really make some money off of this. So when I moved to Atlanta for grad school, that's when I was like, let me go ahead and LLC this thing, get everything legalized and run it. And that's when I realized like I can turn my passion and make some money from it.
Was that you learning things on your own? Did you have people coach you? Because you talking about like LLC and then while you're doing grad school and stuff like that. So obviously you're educated, but was that like, did you talk to a lot of people about it, or you just like, I'm doing the research on my own?
I figured everything out by myself. One of my friends, she owns a business. So when I was telling her like, yeah, I'm finna LLC my business tonight, she's like, oh, I can help you do it. So she did help me LLC the business. But as far as research and cooking and portions and all that good stuff, like everything is self-taught.
Wow, that's dope. So going through that, obviously you got this passion out of survival in a sense, but what other hardships did you kind of go through, like in the midst of that, in the midst of starting your own business and to where you are now?
Yeah, I would say budgeting. Budgeting is going to be the biggest thing that any young entrepreneur will run into. Everybody has these big dreams and big aspirations, but the funding for that, can be a big hiccup. So what I did was I worked a lot of jobs. So I'm a tax preparer during the tax season. I'm a travel phlebotomist still, and that's what I was doing when I was back at Mobile. And then, doing bookings on the side. So when you add all that income up, I can then buy 2 or 3 chauffeurs to do a full catering gig. So where I say someone hit me up, yeah, can you cook for 40 people? Well, I was just a private chef. I was only cooking for 2 to 5 people at the most. And then when people hit me up like 20, 30, 40, I'm like, dang, I don't have equipment for that. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? So, and I'm not the type, because I kind of have a little bit more of a financial literacy than a lot of entrepreneurs to understand that you don't want to put yourself in bad debt. And bad debt is debt that will not make you money back. For example, say the podcast. Say you pay money on the microphones, the headphones, the equipment, the sound system. All that is good debt if you are not able to pay it in cash up hand, because when you bring people on the show or when you do different things and you make money from it, you get your money back. Now, for instance, say a great example for me is if I paid for marketing utensils such as the signs that I have, or $100 on t-shirts or whatever, it'll be considered bad debt, but it gives people, oh, that's Chef JRob. Oh, that's what this is. It doesn't make you money, but it's a visual purpose. So little stuff like that, advertising, you have to make a budget for each of those categories to, bring money to you. So I would say that money was the biggest hiccup that I had, but working those multiple jobs, grinding, staying up, doing what I had to do, what I'm saying, you can make it shake.
So you learned all that on your own, basically, like trial and error, and
trial and error.
Wow,
is my lifestyle.
I'm saying I've been there too, but that's really cool.
I wanted to ask you, because you were talking about financial literacy, and then you were also bringing up the fact that a lot of the people were just giving you money to just cook, and they didn't really. If they probably knew how much these things cost, they probably wouldn't give you as much. Do you think that as far as black folk or just people in general, they don't really are aware of how easy it is to if you budget right, you can cook for yourself for a week or two.
Man, and that's the thing. I get people pay me for the service. They love a Chef JRob meal prep. They love the variety, et cetera, et cetera. But any chef will know the cost of groceries that it takes to put on an event versus what you get paid is tremendously different. I could, if someone wanted me to cook a lavish dinner for them, it would take me every bit of $50 in groceries, but that chef fee's $200 and it's not changing. You know what I'm saying?
that's your labor fee almost, in a sense, where other companies would charge for, they always up the price. That's your quote unquote.
It's like mechanics.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
This is your art. At least for me, cooking is an art. So it's I'm not giving you no BS meals. I'm going to take my time and make sure I marinate this right. Make sure it's clean, because the one thing you don't want is somebody to get sick off of your food. I think that's every chef's worst nightmare. So you can make sure it's cleaned right. And for me, I have back problems. So for me to stand on my foot for 4 hours cooking, that's the labor fee that goes into it. So I guess that's where that extra charge comes in, where it's groceries are $50, but you're going to charge me for the time and the dedication that I put into this meal, and it's going to be good. You're going to get a good experience.
It tastes good too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But from a consumer standpoint, they don't care about that.
Yeah.
They want the cheapest price possible.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but also when you pay more, you feel like you're getting a better quality, right?
Yeah,
when you I always have a motto where you get what you pay for. If you're gonna spend money, spend money. So it's just if that's why you take on a date, you go onto a nice restaurant. It could be the same cost as McDonald's, but it makes you feel better because the presentation and everything.
You sit
the ambiance,
down, they give napkins,
all the other shit. They pretend like they give a fuck. They really don't.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about because I feel like we're all young in this. You're a young guy as well. What do you think about our generation when it comes to cooking and just nutrition in itself? Because I feel like we have a lot of outlets that kind of are scapegoats. We have a Postmates, we got DoorDash, we got all these things that when you really add up the money, it's you have a takeout meal for 3 nights in a row. You could have bought yourself 2 weeks worth of groceries. Why do we feel why is our generation looked at, or why do we feel like we're the conveniency culture? You know what I'm saying?
I was just gonna say that's the biggest
That's the
thing.
word,
is
right?
Convenience. That's the word. Convenience is, we want everything to be there at the snap of our fingers. We're busy. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. Oh, I don't have time to work out. I got to do this. I got to do that. Okay, well, say for instance, someone has a 5-day work week. They got to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Say some people don't eat breakfast. They eat lunch and dinner. So they're eating 2 times out of the 5 days, which is 10 times they're eating in a work week, quote unquote. Say they Postmates, Uber Eats, wherever the case may be, Chick-fil-A or Popeye, since that's the biggest thing, you know what I'm saying? So with the delivery fee, with the cost of the food, on average, they're going to be spending.
Atlanta has taxes like a
A mother.
So let's just say they're spending on average $12 to $15. We'll go the high end and say $15 for lunch and dinner to get delivered to them, or if they out and about and go get some food somewhere. So that's $150 that they have spent in 5 days to eat twice each day. And in my head, I'm smiling so hard because that's ridiculous.
Right.
If someone spent $150, that would last me 3 weeks to 4 weeks in groceries. I could make that spread a great meal for the full month. And for a regular person who doesn't cook, because a lot of people don't know how to cook.
Which even that concept is a little ridiculous to me, but we'll get to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say.
We'll get to that.
Okay, yeah, I would love to break that down.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, go. Let's get to it.
If I
For
get
me-
long-winded, just let me know.
No, you're fine.
This is a
You're
podcast. This is what's for.
Because I have a lot of friends who's like, I don't know how to cook, or that same thing, like, I don't have time, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, if you can read or you can watch a YouTube video, you can cook.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's this ideology of like maybe our parents, like maybe we saw them on Sundays spending all, like I know I saw my grandmother prep the food the night before. She'd get up early on a Sunday, start cooking maybe at 8,
Yep.
and she'd be cooking for like 3 hours or so to get it ready for like when we came back from church and stuff. So I guess it's just like this long-winded idea of like, I don't got 3 hours to spare on cooking, but like cooking can be as simple as like if you invest in a crock pot. Well, crock pot's maybe what, $50 these days. If we're talking about like the generic
Right.
version. You throw your ingredients in there, vegetables. If you're trying to eat healthy, your vegetables, your sauce, your seasonings, all that stuff, and then you put it on high. You can go to your classes and you can go to your job, and you come back, you have a whole meal in front of you. So like I think people overcomplicate the idea of cooking. You put some oil in a skillet, you put the chicken in there and or whatever you're eating, and it doesn't have to be as hard as people make it, and it doesn't have to be as time consuming as people make it. And if really people broke down how much money they spent on food between the buying food out and the Postmates and the Uber Eats, they'd be like appalled. I think because it comes out in increments, they don't see it.
Right.
But if you really like sat down and went through your bank account, you'd be like $300, $400 in the
Bruh,
hole
my
just
bank
from
statement
food.
is
Like
all food.
it gets crazy.
So sad.
It
So
gets crazy.
you talking to Neems right
No,
now?
I feel attacked. I feel personally
That's what I'm saying. I
attacked.
have a lot of friends who have that mentality where they're like, I had a friend the other day because we're on this like healthier eating thing right now. So me and my friends were all trying to keep each other accountable. And she went and she got a salad, basic salad, you know, greens, tomatoes, carrots, which you can go to the grocery store and get a salad for maybe what, $3, if that,
less.
and then a piece of salmon on top, which you could again get at the grocery store if you're getting one piece of salmon maybe for $5. And she spent like a good $17 just on this bowl, maybe the size of this, you know, this base right here. It's in New York, so these are my New York friends I'm talking about. But like, she's sacrificing her money for healthier eating, and then now there's this stigma about like, oh crap, eating healthier is more expensive. I don't got this type of money. I'm gonna go to McDonald's. So then now we have this cycle of people like not wanting to eat healthy, not wanting to cook at home, and the convenience all in one, trying to figure out what works best for them in their schedule. So I mean,
What do you, Rob? What do you think about that as far as like from your friends or like when you were coming up and you saw how people were, you know, moving when it came to like, I'm just trying to eat something today. Like I'll it gets to the point where it's like when you're in college, you study late at night. It ain't that many options open, and all it is just McDonald's, Taco Bell, and all that other shit. Like, what makes someone be like, you know what, I'm cool on that shit. I'm gonna just whip up something real quick. Like, where's that disconnect coming from, do you think?
It's the mindset, man. Like me personally, like I didn't care what I ate, you know, in college. Like I was just trying to eat just like everybody else. This whole healthy lifestyle, that mindset hasn't come about until, you know, after both my grandparents, you know, recently got diagnosed with diabetes. And it's just like, dang, like it's not my grandma's getting diagnosed with diabetes. That's both bloodstreams. And, you know, with me, you know, having a science background, like that can travel back to me. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
hereditary.
Like, yeah, exactly. So now I'm just like, dang, you know, maybe I need to ensure that I'm putting the right stuff in my body, because all diabetes is lack of fitness and lack of healthy eating if you know, bring it down to the wire. So I feel like people now our age, they really, that disconnect is all a mindset. If you say, you know what, I'm gonna start wearing nothing but Forever 21 clothes, or, you know, shopping at what's another, I know that's
H&M.
Forever 21.
H&M.
H&M, or no, what's the Fashion Nova? Like I'm gonna start looking nice, but not buying a Gucci belt, a Louis Vuitton, this,
Right.
blah, 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 but I'm still going to look stylish. Okay, someone put in their mind, I still want to look good, but I'm going to pay less. Same principle when it comes to eating. I want to eat healthy, but pay less. You can do that. You can have that same look. You can have that same feel, but not spend the same amount of money that you think you have to.
So then where does that whole, I don't want to say, I feel like propaganda is like an extreme, but like where does that whole saying where it's like to eat healthier you spend more, where does that come from if you can actually save and still eat healthy?
I guess it comes from buying organic produce
I was just gonna say that, and I was hoping that didn't offend.
The whole cage-free chicken or the
Antibiotic-free.
grass-fed.
Do you feel
beef.
like those things are like?
Oh yes, I do.
I
Look,
think
don't
organic
get me
is almost a
started.
scam because.
Okay. All right, look, check this out. Check
Okay.
this out.
I think it's a scam.
You're at the grocery store. I cut open an avocado. 2 avocados. Cut open 2 avocados, and I give it to you. One's bigger than the other. They're both the same amount of green. They're both the same amount of ripe. Which one would you say is, and they both have the same sticker on it.
But one is just bigger than the other.
What would you say the one that's organic?
Normally, the organic is a smaller one.
right?
Okay, great. So normally that is the case, right? So these companies, you know what I'm saying, and this may have some truth to it, it's not, but from what I've heard, the people I've talked to in the industry and those who actually source and farm and do stuff like
and they
that.
get their own stuff.
Here's a prime example. Let's bump the avocado, which is another example. I mean, it's just a sticker at the end of the day. In my eyes, you know what I'm saying? People read all this stuff about it. At the
It's
end
the same
of
way
day,
I look at fashion, like, or not even fashion, like cars. The whole thing about how like the body of the car is the same, but then they'll stick a Mercedes or a BMW thing on it. But the mechanics, the engine,
the parts,
everything,
it's
the parts
same.
are
It's a
exactly the
car.
same, as the car.
Exactly. Or you get the same cardigan manufactured from somewhere in China, and they ship it over. The price tag may be Gucci, another price tag may be Fashion Nova, but it's similar. It's the same material. It's the same thing. The only difference is
The label.
Brand
Exactly.
recognition.
Yep.
So when it comes to chicken, for prime example, people say cage-free chicken. Well, the chicken can be raised in a cage all its life, and they'll let it loose for maybe a couple hours, and then in that couple hours,
Considered cage free.
exactly. And once it's cage-free, they take it, then kill it. It is technically, legally named as a cage-free animal.
And with you having doing the LLC and being financially literate, like I feel like as when you become a small business owner, you realize all the little tricks of the trade,
You do.
and you realize how motherfuckers be getting over on some
Trying to
bullshit
save money,
just
yeah.
to
It's a finesse.
either to save money or increase pricing on a certain product, or even when it comes to like taxes, and that's a whole nother conversation. But just the fact that like all this shit is really just based on perception and interpretation, because if you have an organics label here and then you just have a regular, preservative, obviously people are going to try to go to more the organic route, but it's probably the same
It's
exact
the
thing, just
same.
maybe a
Yeah.
little tweak.
But then you have to think of the people who like, I'm starting my healthy journey today. I'm gonna go to the grocery store. I'm gonna get me some groceries, and they walk in and they see the nice, big, pretty green sign in Kroger that says organic in like script letters, and then they have like the regular stuff over here. You're gonna be drawn to. I've even seen some like, do they call them like super Krogers now? Like where they have like
Superfoods.
that same green section of like natural superfoods, where it's like if you just digged a little bit deeper in the grocery store, you'd find those same things, but they have a specific group of brands who are natural, organic, or that's how they promote themselves at least.
Or if you really want to further dive into this conversation, you could turn on the back of the nutrition label. You can't fake that.
And some people don't look.
They don't.
Most people don't know how to
So
read it.
if you want to look at an organic bag of chips versus a regular bag of chips of Lay's, one may have the same calorie count.
Right.
May have the same sugar. Organic may even have more sugar than another one. You know what I'm saying? Like you really have to dive into this. And don't get me wrong, like some companies do it right. Some companies really
holistic,
pride themselves on organic produce, and that's great. But there's companies out there, being America, that do
they just follow
loophole,
enough for the
loophole.
the laws to pass as
the FDA.
Yeah, they just do enough so that the FDA considers them whatever category they're trying to
And
fall.
Kroger doing the same and doing some bullshit. They call they shit the private selection and all that.
But
other
hold
shit.
on,
Yeah.
don't sleep.
Nah,
Don't sleep.
Nah, I'm not
because-
saying it's bad. It don't taste bad. I'm just saying like I know it's bullshit. You just went to your marketing team, your
Yeah.
PR team, and just say, give me a sexier, more classy
With the
label.
black
Yeah,
labels
the
and
black
stuff.
label. Call it the private selection. It sounds like you doing some other shit.
But like
nah.
I've learned even now, because like Kroger personally is like my favorite place to grocery shop if I'm like cooking for
Amen.
people. You know,
I'm
it's
all
just
these girls.
I just know it's just easier to navigate for me.
Aldi's, nigga, you gotta
Love
you gotta
Aldi's.
come with a quarter just to go shopping,
Exactly.
nigga.
Nigga, that's how you know what's authentic. Like quarter.
And then for me, it's like I went from, because you know New York has big labels. That's what I'm used to. And then I came to Cincinnati, and that's when I was first introduced to Kroger. And then I went from like if I'm buying cream cheese, for example, getting the name brand to now the Kroger brand, which is maybe like 50 cents less, and it's the same taste, the
same
same
shit.
quality.
Well, I won't say the
ingredients are
same taste.
It's
You
not.
you could tell this Kroger brand.
Listen,
Well, no, I would say
everything's about, for me at least, seasoning is like
true.
Key.
key, right?
Mhm.
So for me, like if we're trying to cut back on like fat or
Mhm.
calories or things
Mhm.
like that, I'll more so go with something that has less calories. So even if I'm not thinking about like from like, oh, just bagels on cream cheese. I'm thinking about if I'm dressing up the cream cheese to be stuffed into something,
Alfredo
something like
or
that.
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
like you dress that up.
Mhm.
So I just need the base, and I need the base of what cream cheese gives me, and then from there I'll hook it up. I'll put the seasonings and whatever else needs to go in there, and I spent 50 cents less for this pack of cream cheese. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, so that's how I've kind of been shopping now, and I spend a lot of time in a grocery store just like looking and dancing around. But even going back to the point of like why our generation is so like anti cooking, they don't have the time to like sit there in a grocery store. Like that's fun to me, but maybe for some people they're just like,
I
I'm just
don't
trying to
think
grab
people
my
think
chips.
of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to grab my chips and my
Yeah.
bread and my chicken and get out of here.
It's
Like, I don't
an
got time
errand.
for all that. Yeah.
I don't think people know how to shop.
Oh, key. My
That's
brother
true,
30.
too.
He don't know how to shop.
That's
No
true, too.
offense.
What was Imani, you was talking about K. Roger as far as where you shop at, but like, what about you? Do you go to Whole Foods for like?
I just realized what you
You
said.
said K. Rogers? Are we gonna? Can
I
we
was
address
really
it?
sitting there like, okay, Raj,
I'm just saying-
got it.
Got it.
That's what I call Kroger every now and then.
Oh.
But as far as like, do you shop differently based on an event, or do you go Kroger for everything?
Kroger everything and
Really?
Costco for certain
like
Yeah.
bigger.
So do you
events,
think
right?
like what do you feel about like the Whole Foods or the Sprouts of the world? Is there a difference as far as quality, or is it just like they just a different store?
If I had to compare their meat quality to Kroger, Whole Foods to Kroger, I personally think that some produce is a little bit fresher than Kroger, and I just think that's based off of their handling process or how they put certain things out. You know what I'm saying? I've been to Kroger when they first opened and when they closed it. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of seen the whole day layout. Where in Whole Foods, I feel like no matter what time you go, it's always that quote unquote fresh feeling. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's the atmosphere that they give off or if they actually do put out certain produce at certain times. So that's a great question. You know, I don't shop at Whole Foods too often, but when I do,
It's fun.
I
going
love
there.
it.
It's just for
fun.
personal use, because on a business use, I still feel like I can get the same quality that they have, you know, from a Kroger or a Costco. You know what I'm saying? So
When people talk about like food deserts, when we talk about like again going back to the conversation as far as like healthy seems like it's more expensive, and that's why like a lot of people, especially black people, kind of eat the crap that we do. Do you believe in that food desert stuff now, especially with all this information that we have, and most of these at least for me, most of the markets or like the grocery stores, whether big, small, and stuff like that, it seems like they're very accessible. You just have to just kind of just go around your neighborhood and just look a little bit. That's just me, and I may be
see what
speaking
you're
out of ignorance, but I feel like we kind of hype up like, oh, they ain't shit around my neighborhood. It's like,
I think it's
well,
relative to what your neighborhood is, to be honest. Because
Yeah.
food desert is literally the definition of in your neighborhood, you're within a mile of a grocery store, and a lot of people don't
Like
have
you
access
have
to
to
that.
travel. There's
You
no
have to go
going
out the
down the
way.
street.
Like there's no Kroger within that 1 mile radius, but there's a Taco Bell right up the street.
okay, so then what's wrong with traveling then?
Traveling, some people might not have a car.
Some people have kids.
Some people have kids.
What
You gotta
about-
load all them kids in the car.
You ain't
and
got a
then
bike?
go to grocery-
I'm just
You ain't
saying.
got-
But you see
what
how,
happened to the
like-
bike in the basket?
But you see how hard they gotta like work just to get some groceries? Like that's the inconvenience. That's not equity. Like that's not fair. The fact that I can just like drive up to Kroger any time of day and get whatever I need,
and then I drive
somebody
to the
has-
closest Kroger that's to my house in that
Right.
neighborhood, and it's scarce.
Scarce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they don't have some of the vegetables that I'm looking for, or even like,
happens.
and you can
Yeah,
tell
a lot.
they look bruised up. They look like they've been
It's not
sitting there for
quality
days.
food.
Like
It's not quality food.
And from a public
yeah.
health standpoint, that is very true. What both of y'all said. There are certain areas in the state of Georgia who may have to drive 12 miles, 25 minutes, just to get to a Piggly Wiggly.
I still think.
Wow.
Is that?
You don't get
We're
no
from the
Walmart.
north. I'm sorry.
For real, Piggly Wiggly.
It's amazing. I want to elaborate. It's another podcast.
Nah, you don't need to know about the Piggly Wiggly. I'm just gonna let you know right there.
You see what I'm saying? Like the Piggly Wiggly is their superstore, but it doesn't even have all everything you need. They may want some fish for that day. They don't have no fresh fish, that day. They
Got it in the
sold out.
bag, the little vacuum sealed bag.
Right.
You talking about the
Say
tilapia?
shit.
Yeah,
Tilapia, bottom
fake
feeders.
ass
Got off at
tilapia.
5,
Okay.
Yeah, got off at 5. Couldn't get to your car at 5:10. Took 30 minutes to get there at 5:40. Well, the fish portion of the seafood department closed at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Being the workers that work at wherever,
The scarce.
they're
Piggly Wiggly.
trying to get off early. They already started packing up.
They
their
already
seafood.
left.
It's in the freezer for the next day. So stuff like that definitely applies to the food desert. You know what I'm saying? Method. So it is true and it is prevalent. So it's up to public health officials to implement different programs or bring in grocery stores or gas stations even or food stations that can provide these.
It doesn't have to be a super center per
Even
se,
I'm gonna
but
go
just
step
something.
further and say community gardens, like where I went to school. So like my major, my first year back at IU was human biology, right? And we focused on the obesity epidemic in America. So we talked about like food deserts and how we don't know what we're eating because the food, like the agricultural system doesn't let you know what we're eating. We don't know where our food is coming from. So people really don't want to ask the question. They just want to eat and go on their day. So it's just like we focus on stuff a lot like that, but we saw that like if you like actively made a difference in your community, like local gardens, like try to put into the system to get out good healthy food, people who didn't have access worked harder to get to it. Because Bloomington wasn't a big city. It was a college town of like 50,000 students. Right outside of it is like a whole bunch of meth heads that ain't had nowhere to go and had no food. But we opened up, well not us, but they opened up a local community garden. You get out what you put in. If you help garden, you could get some food back, some like all the shit that we grew that was healthy and good for you. So I'm big on stuff like that. I know there's one in Atlanta. I can't remember her name. This older black woman, she opened up a local community garden and it's all free vegetables and fruit and stuff like that. I think is like key because one, you're putting back into your community. Two, you're giving free food, good food to people that need it. So stuff like that to me versus just opening up another grocery store that can get back to that same problem of closing at 6 or not getting the right like food sources for that community that needs it because they're already ignored due to some type of systematic oppression.
Small
So,
businesses are important.
Yes,
Because they
shop
care.
locally.
Yeah,
I'm
they
saying like
care.
local farms. I don't eat meat, but like when we're cooking for the family, my mom's cooking and stuff, we go to Muslim markets. Al Medina got the best meat in the city. I'm gonna put y'all on now. Halal meat is where it's at. I don't even eat meat, but it will put you on like stuff like that, like where it's like homegrown community. I don't try to shop at chain stores. That's why I do go to Aldi's, but like I do love Whole Foods though because they got bomb snacks. But stuff like that, like I'm really big on like local homegrown things, and I think that's like key to put back.
You said you had heroin addicts growing they
Okay, that's what you got. Okay, that's what you got from that.
they was growing opium. They using the garden to
Let
cook
me tell
heroin.
you, Indiana was a scary place. Indiana's a very.
Is that how it's funded? my nigga?
No, we gotta
Just
get
a
how
quick
we
question,
live.
like, for me personally, I feel like, in a business environment, I feel like I'm new to Atlanta, so I'm not gonna hone too hard on this, but I felt like before I had an issue kind of like connecting with my community just because everybody has so many different food preferences. Like some people are vegan, some people want to go, keto,
Keto shit.
Some people have gluten allergies.
Yeah, it's a lot of
fake.
things. So like I kind of had to focus on what my demographic was gonna be, and for the longest time I had this idea sitting on my heart, like, oh, I want to sell like aprons, right? So the same way like you have a really cool hat on right now. It says chef on it. You guys can't see, but it's in a cool graphic, kind of like a dad hat. And I was like, oh, I want to take that same concept, but then put on aprons and do cool like graphics and designs and wordings and stuff. And I was talking to one of my friends, and they were just like, that might not sell very well. And I was like, why do you think that way? And it's like, because nobody cooks. Nobody cooks, so nobody's gonna buy an apron, even if it looks cool. Like nobody's in the kitchen enough where they're just gonna like buy an apron from you, even if it's just $10. So I was like, okay, I kind of have to scrap that idea, at least maybe until I can find a demographic where somebody will like pick that up more. So now that I'm here in Atlanta, it's a much bigger demographic, still a lot of food preferences, and now I'm trying to refocus the group of people that I want to cater to and how I'm going to go about that. So I guess my question to you would be like, did you have problems in that area as well, like when you first started out? Because I'm on a much smaller scale than you right now.
I would say that when people ask, so can I get some advice from you, Chef JRob, where the case may be, you know, how'd you get started? How'd you get to the point where you are now? And I feel like everybody always wants to do everything. People want to do YouTube. People want to cater large events. People want to do weddings. People want to meal prep. People want to sell merchandise. And for someone to try to tap into all those things, even though that's exactly what I did without any guidance, you know, it can be kind of overwhelming. But I kind of wanted to see what I would get myself into just in case one of those routes really took off. So when it came to an actual demographic of clients, I just always was myself, and I always did what I wanted to do because it was my business. And whoever came from that, I had my price point that I stuck. I didn't cut no discounts. I didn't overcharge people. I literally was authentic and truthful to every single person that ever came to me to do business. So I feel like that energy that I gave off attracted all the clients that I have now. So it wasn't like a, dang, I don't know if I want to, you know, just pertain to, you know, white people. I don't know if I just want to be, you know, trying to do meals for black people. I don't know if I want to be, you know, with the athletes, all the pro people, because that's definitely not relevant in Alabama because we don't have any pro teams, you know. So in a city, or celebrities even, you know what I'm saying, in a city where you have celebrities, pro athletes, everybody's like, oh, I want to be a celebrity this or a celebrity that, and that's not how you should start your business. That's not how you should start, because you'll hear a lot of people say you have to do some free stuff to get your name out, then you can start charging people. That's some people's way of thinking, and in certain industries that is true, but for me, I just dipped and dabbed in everything. I did YouTube for a little minute. That got tiresome. I didn't want to keep putting out footage and stuff of me cooking. And then I'm energetic as it is, but I feel like to really get views on your YouTube when you're cooking, you have to.
YouTube is oversaturated.
You gotta be like you gotta be like Martin, but just cooking. Like you just gotta be hella like
and
that's
entertaining.
You gotta be watchable.
And I feel like I'm a great person to watch, but like I don't want to keep doing that, you know, all the time every time I cook. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
a lot of energy that you gotta use. And it's
Exactly.
already a lot of
Too.
energy cooking too. Like
And then, you know, people want to be, you know, on TV and stuff like that. And by God's grace, I was able to, you know, tap into that a little bit, see what that's like. And then celebrity clientele that came after doing regulars, you know, consistently, and not looking for a handout or reaching my handout. It's just me doing me, grinding. And then when the opportunity presents itself, then you take that thing, you knock that door down, and you rock and roll with it. So I feel like to better concisely answer your question, you just got to do you. And you got to exert that energy and set your price firm, and you keep rolling with it. And people will naturally gravitate towards you, because you should never feel like you have to sell yourself or your service or your product to anyone in this world. You should naturally put out your product, naturally promote yourself, and those people who come to you will be the people that value you the most and will not waste your time. Because when you keep trying to pitch it to this person and they need a little bit more convincing, then you'll find yourself stretching yourself thin when you shouldn't even have to do that.
Right.
basically saying if it ain't on the menu, it ain't for you.
Yeah. My main thing right now is consistency, and I'm trying different things in terms of, cause, you guys know I started off as, it was mainly Caribbean cuisine because that was really lacking
You
in
do
Cincinnati.
oxtails?
Yeah. Listen, it was lacking in Cincinnati. I think we had one Jamaican restaurant.
Oh, Island Fridays.
Island Fridays.
Shout out to Island Fridays.
Island Fridays held it down when I was a freshman. And the issue that I had with Island Fridays as a thoroughbred Jamaican woman was that once they hit diners, drive-ins, and dives with Guy Fieri,
there it goes.
they got watered down real bad. Just the quality of the food. They were just mass producing at that point because they were catering for all the Bengals, and they were doing for the Reds and
outside of just UC stuff,
And
or
then
University
they were
of
right there.
Cincinnati.
They were right there on campus. So if we're here, they were down the street. So it's like, it got to a point where they were my favorite Jamaican restaurant. Well, shit, they were the only option I really had, but they were good. And then as I went to sophomore year, junior year, I was just like, oh man, this is not cutting it. Which is where it pushed me to make my own food, and that's really where I got started with that. And obviously I didn't have as big of a clientele as them because they were on TV, but it was just that idea of this is what Jamaican food is supposed to be like, and I'm gonna stick to these original recipes. If it's supposed to be spicy, it's spicy, and if you don't like spicy, don't buy it. Sorry. Like, I'm not gonna take out the spice. I'm not gonna OD, but I'm not gonna take out the spice just because you don't like pepper. Like, I don't tell you. Like,
yeah, and it happens too, because you gotta think, even rappers, think of your favorite rapper when they first started. People always say, oh, they went hard. It's stuff that's so deep and relatable. They had a whole different sound. But when they make it and they blow up,
watered down.
It's like, what happened to 'em?
you get a little bit industrialized. You gotta do stuff to make hits and songs that pertain to all audiences, you know what I'm saying, to make money. But when they first start and they doing the mixtapes and they out there grinding, like, it's a whole different sound. And people always refer, man, it ain't like the old this or that. You know, he rapping different. That ain't the old 04 blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like when it comes to food, same principle. Like, I hope that I do blow up, but I hope I don't ever get to the point where I lose the quality of my food. And I feel like I won't, no matter how much it takes, because that's the biggest thing I pride myself on.
At that point, you just got to start hiring people because you can't do it by yourself.
He's saying all this now, but in about a year or two, we gonna see Chef Rob
Okay.
franchise. He gonna have his face on the can. Talk about some of this organic. But I wanted to ask you about, like, food itself and just like what we put into our bodies. Some people, based on how their upbringing, cultural upbringing, they'll use food as medicine. Would you agree with that statement, or do you feel like it's a case by case scenario?
You can use food as medicine. You definitely can. There's herbs. And that's the main thing people go to. Well, that's because it naturally grows from the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to it was a graduation trip, and I went to Bali, and I did a garden tour, and I did it with my girlfriend, and we went around the whole farm, and Chef Dean was his name. He showed me so many different plants and so many different herbs that are not here. And I was blown. He said, you know what? My mother, who is now 89, drinks, this is a ginger tea that she makes, but she put this herb, and I can't even pronounce it. She put the herb in the tea, and she drank it every morning and every night when she first woke up and when she first went to sleep. And she said any medical complications that she had, they were gone.
You talk about that black herb from Black Panther?
Listen.
He was the heart-shaped herb. Hey,
Strike two.
my nigga was in Wakanda.
So it's stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
like, wow. And he made us some of that tea, and I was like, damn, this is good. And the reason why it's not in America is because the soil, you know what I'm saying? You can't grow everything that you can around the world. And it's like, well, why don't they sell it and ship it and stuff? That is so much more that goes into that, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, you hear a lot of people who get close to finding the cures for things, and then they just disappear off the earth. It's stuff like that.
What was the doctor?
Sabi?
Yeah, the one that Nipsey was talking about.
He was
Yeah,
supposed to find the cure for what?
for
HIV?
he was saying what, HIV or cancer. One
It
of the
was
big
something.
ones. Yeah,
It was something big.
and
And then he just never heard from him again.
Nah, I think he passed a little bit after that.
Yeah.
But it was like I think he went up against Congress or something like that, and his research or whatever he was doing proved that it was showing results. And then from there, that's when shit was like, he went ghost. Because I think obviously when we talk about
They
those
killed
type of diseases or infections, like, that's the shit that is all the core essence of a lot of fundamental things when it comes to pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
research, all that shit. I
That's what
mean,
I'm saying.
no
They
disrespect
they
names,
killed
but
him.
No, it's facts.
but it's just like that. Like, there's no money in the cures and money in the treatment.
Yeah.
So like when you talk about, nigga, I can cure you from all this shit. It's like,
They gonna lose hella money.
You blowing up you fucking up the
blowing up the
game.
game.
The game's supposed to be sold, not told. You know what I'm saying?
You in pharmacy school?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where it is. So,
Congrats.
but
Yeah,
eh,
we
What
spend
year are
money
you?
there.
P1, P2?
second
P2?
year. Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Congrats.
I'm dying slowly.
I
but-
can't.
What,
You almost done.
Yeah, I was a pharmacy technician throughout college.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
worked
work
at
at CVS. Yeah, it's
Wow.
hell.
Alright.
Let me stop. My boss here, I love it. It's great. No, but like, just to piggyback off what you're saying, it was actually kind of cool. Last year we did this Black History Month with one of the orgs at school to talk about Black health and like medicine and whatnot. And we also touched on like the food that the Black community eats, how a lot of these foods lead to diabetes, hypertension, cancers. And it's like, if you look at it, like the history of what Black people in America have been eating, how it's like literally leading them to die. And then you see the medication that's even out there, like why, like the 3 major hypertension medications, 2 of them don't work in Black people. You know, stuff like that people are not aware of, yet they're still putting these things in their body thinking they're going to be able to like treat it, or, you know, they'll be fine or whatnot. And yet like the system is not allowing you. So it's like, I'm really big on health. I'm really big. That's why I became vegetarian, trying to go vegan, hard as shit. But things like that where I'm like avidly telling my parents like, yo, like be aware of what you're eating, where you're getting it from, because if you're the only person in charge of your health at this point, like, yeah, we might not know exactly where we're getting our food from, but like at least take that extra step to be more conscious about what you're putting into your body and things like that. Because yes, I'm in pharmacy school, but I'm also big on natural medicine. Like my mom be like grinding up flaxseed every day. She puts that in my tea. She puts it in all her food. Like she used to have high cholesterol. She was borderline diabetic. All that shit's gone now.
I'm telling you,
like natural. She said her aunt that lived up to be 115. I don't believe the 15. Listen, don't you tell.
I'm just saying, we African, all right.
Okay.
We be saying a lot of.
She was over 100 though. I guarantee that.
All right. I'm not saying she wasn't, but I'm just saying though, like
But
115 though.
I don't know, man.
That's a
I
random
don't know.
number.
Bruh, my mama don't lie though. She believe in God. Like anyway, I'm just saying. She said there's people like that back home that would, for example, like her aunt would just have a spoon of garlic every morning and walk a mile or 2, and she lived to that age, no health problems her whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like third world countries that don't have access to medicine, that don't have all the clinics that we have, or all these groceries lying around and whatnot with all these fresh food. Yet they have these things coming from this soil that they're using correctly to promote their health and well-being and being healthy and all that. That was redundant, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying, like, if we were more aware and just use the earth properly to put good things into our body, I feel like we wouldn't have a lot of the problems we have now. And just
So you're vegan or you're vegetarian? Trying to be a vegan.
It's hard.
Rob, did you change up your diet at all throughout this process to see how things taste and what you could flavor? You know.
No, sir.
Oh, so you still carnivore like the rest of us?
Yeah, lone wolf out here. Lone
It is
wolf.
so hard.
Do you? Because for me, I'm a meat eater. I pretty much chicken, steak, and all that. But I am trying to switch up my diet a little bit just to see how it affects my
How
body,
you feel and stuff, yeah.
affects my energy level and stuff like that. I'm trying to do a whole month of pescatarian diet. I ain't gonna be like Jay-Z and Beyonce, go vegan. I'm cool on all that shit because all I can eat is the chili flavored Doritos and shit.
Right, you gotta relax. You gotta relax.
Or Oreos. I realize Oreos are vegan as
They
well.
are vegan,
which is scary because I don't know what the fuck that means. But but I'm curious to see like what how things impact you based on what you consume. And and as far as black people, I feel like we all grew up with the traditional ways of eating and we're scared to do anything different because I know a lot of very picky eaters as far as black folk, and it be the dumb, and it be like I got a homie, no disrespect to him because I think a lot of people know who I'm talking about, or at least some of the homies I know, but all he would eat is like, as far as a burger, he would say take off the lettuce, take off the tomatoes, take off
He just want burger.
He just
and
want
bun?
meat and cheese and bread, and it's just like
chicken tenders too, don't he?
he definitely.
Oh, that's the chicken tender.
So it's just like there's good cook, there's black, like you got slutty vegan and all that other shit. Like there's black cuisine. Like is it just because of lack of options, or is it because shit just don't really taste that good? Like, can you cook up a meal that's vegetarian or vegan and it'll taste just like I'm eating like out of a motherfucking, what's the famous black restaurant? Is it or just like Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? Like, can you whip up something like that?
Yeah, so that's what I also pride myself on when I do my meal preps, is because whether I do get a lot of vegans, which is a lot of my clientele now, or vegetarians, like it's all in, like you said, seasoning, how you season stuff, and you can still do a low salt, low carb diet and still taste great. People say, okay, well, dang, I really want that fried chicken taste, but I'm vegan. All right, well, let's get some jackfruit. Let's get some cauliflower.
There's a lot of fruits out there that can like have the texture of like chicken or fish or stuff. I try not to cook with salt because I realize that a lot of seasonings that we use already have salt in it, so I try not to add like a little extra. But yeah, that's what, going back to that first point I made, it's easier than people think. But like, who's gonna sit down and be like, oh, let me try this jackfruit today and
Bruh.
deep fry it and see what it tastes like. Like, people are not going to do that.
And I personally watch the tasty videos that be on
I
like
love
Yeah.
Twitter.
videos,
Like,
bruh.
I just like how
lost in
seeing the processes. I'm a very I like procedure.
we
I like
watched
seeing
Master Chef for a whole
Yeah, I
season.
fuck with MasterChef, like-
me and Nick were on the couch.
yeah, Gordon
watching
Ramsay and all that
MasterChef.
shit.
them. Yo,
I like
chopped.
I like seeing how
Chopped is
shit is
good.
prepared and like it be like the simplest shit and then you just it just takes like 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like on MasterChef, they be like, oh yeah, you got 15 minutes to make this motherfucking flambe
there.
and like whatever.
They in there.
And they just be cooking and it's like that was just 15 minutes.
You
You know what I'm saying? Obviously they got pressure on themselves because somebody gave them a time limit and it's money on the line. But at the same time it's like, all right, give
You made
yourself
it.
20 minutes. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? You can make up a whole fucking dish.
Especially if you plan it out. I think if you're at work and you're sitting down, like, I want to have some chicken tonight. Like, sit down, be like, okay, this is the meal I want to have. You plan it out in your head. If you have to go to the grocery store, if you already know what you want, a grocery trip can really only be 20 to 30 minutes.
Maximum. I don't stay in there any longer than 30
Don't
minutes.
go hungry either. That's the rule 101.
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
ever go
no.
to a grocery
Oh,
store.
yeah,
hungry.
yeah.
You
You
gonna
start
buy a bunch
buying
of
a whole bunch of
bullshit.
crap.
Unnecessarily.
Bullshit.
Unnecessarily.
Bunch of
And
bullshit.
then when you get home, you take it out. You listen. That's what planning. I think that's the main word. Like,
Mhm.
plan
Make time.
out your things, make time, like, and you'll be
Chop your
okay
onions the night before.
if you have to.
I'm
Yeah.
saying I do that all the time.
If you have the extra funds, they have the chopped onions in the store
They
already.
do. They not
If
even
you
that
have the extra dollar or
expensive.
two,
they be
um,
$1.
I don't believe in that, but yeah,
I
if you
don't.
have it, if you got it,
My mama would kill
So,
me.
so we've given out tips. We've given out good, points of references and shit like that. We kept it real, educational.
We tried.
But this is no disrespect.
You
You
got
know what I'm
the
saying? So we got to bring the nigga shit too. All right.
all right.
Overweightness, obesity,
Ah,
fat motherfuckers. Rob, when was the last time you called somebody a fat motherfucker?
He says, "I have a business, sir."
I'm just saying, we gotta keep it
Taking
a buck.
down.
Cause
Actually, I did the other day. Not
Wow.
I was trying to give him some motivation, like, hey, bro, you fat as fuck.
How did that go?
Yeah,
Please
get it
tell me.
together.
how did,
No.
but how did he take it?
Well, we be messing around with Eddie a lot. That's the thing, Eddie.
Damn,
You know
called him
what I'm
out.
saying? And as my fraternity brother, we want the best for each other. You know what I'm saying? So if I had to let him know, like, bro,
You little
he
overweight.
not legit fat, but that's what we gotta say.
You gotta
be
dump
harsh.
that cold
Yeah,
water
yeah.
on him.
He could lose some weight.
So now all right. So we now on the
We
same
both
level.
picked up our wine now for this segment.
we gonna have because I feel like people always talk about fat shaming or like, it's good to be big. They look at women like Lizzo and shit like
Yeah.
that and whatnot, and they be like, yeah, I'm embracing my body. That's cool and all,
Right.
but that's not healthy, my nigga. Like
How do you know she's not healthy?
it's obvious, bro. It's like I'm not trying to disrespect the black woman, but it's
I'm only
obvious.
saying because I've seen
you ain't never.
bigger
When did
people.
you ever see the healthy fat motherfucker?
not fat as in like, because there's a difference between like, oh, you're fat and you're overweight, right? Because you can
What's
be
the difference?
overweight for your, because overweight's based on like your size and like your body mass and all that stuff. Like that's where the overweight.
Are we
portion
saying
comes
overweight
in.
and big boned?
No, I don't believe in the word big bone. I don't.
I believe in
Yeah,
big
I
You
just
said there's no
fat.
big bones in nobody.
Yeah, I see some big bones.
All bones are the same.
All bones matter.
But when I say, because I think, okay, so I'm not trying to say it. Like, they'd be like, oh, she's like thick or she's like skinny. You just said there's like different words for different things. That's what I'm saying. That, like, to me, it's like fat and then overweight. That's how my scale works.
Okay, so
Not
I
everybody
think what
else's
Nick
scale.
is getting at is like what I see on Twitter a lot is like a lot of overweight people will come out and say, I'm just as healthy as you.
Right.
And that's where I'm just like, even just from a healthcare
Keep
standpoint,
it a buck.
I'm like,
Keep it a buck.
you're not, sis. Like,
You're
for
not, sis.
You're not. And I'm like, doesn't mean you shouldn't be confident. Doesn't mean you're not beautiful because you are. And I want you
let's
to
worry
own
about
that
your health.
body. But like truly your health, like you can get diabetes. You can have hypertension and like very soon you might have it. So it's just,
And
be
it's a lot of,
conscious about
and
it.
it's just speaking on black people in general. Like that's the mentality some people have. Like it's just like
Exactly,
I
and it's
feel
not
fine.
healthy.
I've been this size. I've been this weight for a while.
Yeah, and it just
it
kinda
hasn't
used to
stopped.
it.
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
like, well, you could be like, for me, I'm always thinking like you can always be better. You can always do better.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If you know better, with all this information we got, with all the shit that our phones can do now, for all
Right.
the information we could just
accessible.
even just talking to somebody, reaching out to somebody, you could figure out ways to be a better you.
Right.
And I just feel like when we talk about fashion, or just when you do some shit like what Rob just said, as far as like talking to your friend, like, hey, bruh, you need to do some things different.
Right.
See,
That's
but, like,
out of love.
But here's the thing. Everybody's love language is a little bit different.
little bit different.
I ain't trying
Let's,
to hear
no,
all
no, no.
that
Let's talk about it because,
It's
like,
facts.
right? Like, you and your friends will talk to each other the way that Rob talked to his friends. Like, y'all just straight up. if I was gaining weight, you can't talk to me like that because my emotions would that would just be that's too harsh for me. Like
Telling
you
a
can't
woman
talk
she
to me like
gained weight.
I had a friend that said he literally came up to one of my homies. She's a woman, and he was like, "Look, because like she was having issues as far as like she
was fluctuating or
just like surgery. Like she needed to do surgery because of
it got
their
to
weight.
that point.
And he was like, "Look, you fat as fuck.
see like that. You have to know who you're
He
talking
said
to.
you need to lose some goddamn weight." But he was like, "I'm saying this because I love you."
No, but like,
and I'm like,
what's
bruh.
her language? That's what I'm saying. Did she take it personally? You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
Like,
obviously she took it horribly. I
Yeah, I was gonna say like they're not friends anymore. They
They
can't.
they still
like I
text
don't
her.
mind somebody having genuine loving concern for me. Be like, listen, Imani, you need to. We need
But
to
is
work
there
on it."
any?
But
Is there
you
a nice way to say you?
No,
fuck
but
with?
not.
I know
Fine.
I'll be upset for a little bit, but I'll get over it. But it'll be better than you coming to me like, you fat as fuck.
Bruh.
Like that is harsh.
That's a
But
little
to
bit
me,
too
like
far.
you that
If that works for you and your friends, I'm saying you have to know everybody's language.
because we bullshit with each other a lot. Like I'm sure you probably see it like as far as just out there in the world, like you were saying, names like we bullshit. We trying to make people feel good. It's like no, I want you to be good. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
Like
that's key.
I don't care about like if we're really cool and we're really friends, we can be honest with each other.
100%.
And to the point where we need to correct our action because you will want
100%.
your friends to align with you as far as moving on to the right path. And I'm not trying to say you need to be super skinny or anything like that, but you do need to watch, your
What you eat? What's going
I
into your
think life
body?
is about balance personally. Because I'm really, really trying, like how you said you're trying to go vegan.
Bruh.
I'm trying, like I was literally, it's so funny you said you want to do the pescatarian things. I was thinking about that too. Because they say
That's how I
seafood is
started.
super lean. And I'm just sitting here like, I do good for a couple of days. And I'm like, dang, like I want a piece of chicken. Like it's hard.
It takes 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think that
yeah.
balance is super important. Like I don't think you should deprive yourself of things that you like,
yeah.
but you can't overdo it. And that's the problem that we have as I'm going to say black people specifically. Like we just overdo stuff. Like portions are way too high. That's always been my problem for a long time. I had way too many portions because that's what I was used to as a kid.
We didn't know no different. It was
Yeah.
the whole plate. You ate
3
the whole plate.
spoonfuls of rice and a couple pieces of chicken
Okay.
and no vegetables on the plate. Like that was dinner.
Bruh.
JRob, have you traveled to different outside of the states and see how they prepare meals and stuff like that? Do you notice? I've heard as far as in European countries, like they have smaller plates than we do,
Oh, for
and
sure.
and that kind of goes with like our portion, like Imani was saying, portion control. Do you think that was something that's like was that eye opening to you a little bit?
It wasn't. I didn't take notice of like how they not prepare, but how they plate their food in opposition to in America. Because my thought is, that's a foo-foo plate. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
like the
dressed
motherfuckers
up.
that put like a little dot of some food on there and
They
they
got
put a
little
hella sauce
dressing
on
and
shit.
shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is
$75, give me a plate. You
Mm,
know what I'm
for
saying?
a leaf.
So,
Mm-mm.
and people will associate that with fancy eating, fancy plating, and stuff like that. But that's just their way of plating. You know what I'm saying? And there's places, in America that do that too. And again, it's at your more fine dining restaurants because it's a little bit more of an elegance. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you can still have great food and not plate, that way. You know what I'm saying? If the taste is there, I feel like then give it to them. But the thing is, as far as the portions, I mean, just like y'all, like growing up,
What portions?
There was no
Yeah,
portion
what
control.
portions?
I even see that trickling over into like when I'm giving people like meal prep stuff like that. Like I think I've even lost business over that because I'm more of a person where it's like
Oh, they said it was too much.
too small.
it's too much. It's
Oh,
too
too
much.
much?
Yeah. Like for me, I have that ideology. Like if somebody's paying their money, I'm gonna give you good
True.
quality
I
food.
got you. Yep,
And
that
I'm not
happens.
gonna give you a
It
foo-foo
happens.
plate either.
Yeah.
So as a new business owner, I've lost business recently because somebody was like, because we had a month meal prep plan for them, and they said, Imani, I have mad food left over. Like I just can't do it this week. In my head, I was like, dang, like I lost money this week because I'm over portioning their things. So now I have to learn portion control not only for myself, but like when you give
Your
it to other
clients.
people, because if they're looking to like lose weight or they're looking to eat healthier, portion control is just as important as the seasoning you put in food or what food you're giving them, the fried stuff or the bakes compared to the baked stuff. It's
And
like,
going back to JRob was saying, it was like a mentality. It was
Yeah.
like, some people are like, I can I eat till I'm full.
yes.
And for
yes.
some people, like I eat till I'm satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have niggas that will say I'm not satisfied until I'm full.
Right, okay, that's me.
It's like you got to learn how. It's the discipline. It's
Yeah.
all about discipline, and that's to me that's like the key word going into 2020 is like how disciplined are you as far as what you really want to
Discipline
accomplish.
and consistency.
Exactly. What you wanna do.
Consistency. Key.
Yeah.
Because you don't get you said it takes 3 weeks.
Takes 3 weeks to form a habit, 3 months for a lifestyle.
Ooh.
Yeah, shit's
Really?
hard.
You pull out that at your ass.
I'm not, bro. Look it up. Google told me, bro. Google told
I'm
me.
just saying.
thinking
Yeah, I'm like, hold on,
different.
shit. I'm like
But
2
y'all
weeks
gonna
away.
switch up. Y'all gonna switch up real quick.
So did we answer the question? Is fat shaming necessary?
I think it is. I mean, it's
Does
a
it have
discussion.
to be so hard? It has to be hard.
It has to
be.
I think it has
shaming?
to be harsh.
I agree. I
Nah.
think it does need to be harsh. My trainer told me I was a fat ass too.
I think there's levels to it though. Like
But
if
the
you're
thing is, y'all
stubborn,
see me, I'm relatively skinny.
I was
but the
gonna say,
thing
I was like,
is- the
fat
thing
ass.
Did you were you overweight back in the day?
No, I was this is the most weight I ever weighed. I weigh 187 now, and I feel great. Thing is, we're looking at full physique. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my arms got bigger, calves got a little bigger. You know what I'm saying? I buffed up a little bit, but my gut, that's what we're referring to, is your stomach. You know, if you want to tone, you want to look great. Okay, well, if you're not eating good and you got a pudge, you know what I'm saying? You don't have no type of ab definition, bro. You fat.
Damn.
And me personally, I'm the type to give any of my homeboys shit for anything.
Yeah.
So that's what I need. Like, tell me, you know what I'm saying? Keep it straight with me. And that had me like, all right, now I need to really meal prep for myself, because it's crazy. I'll cook for 12 hours at a time and not eat nothing.
I hear
Yo.
Or have any
I've
food
done
left over
that.
for myself.
and you not
I've
even
done that.
are you not hungry, or are you just saying like
You just
you'll meal
grinding.
prep for
Just
hours
because
and
you're-
then have a bowl of cereal at the
That
end of the
is
night,
so
and that's
sad.
your dinner.
How do you cook
On my
and
mind,
not
I'm
eat?
talking about some Frosted Flakes.
Yeah,
and
you're so focused on the
Cinnamon Toast
client.
Crunch combined.
top 3 cereals right now?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Frosted Flakes, and let's throw in that. I've been on the Fruity Pebbles type deal.
Fruity
Pebbles.
Pebbles?
Really pretty pebbles. I was expecting that. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the goat though.
I was gonna say obviously Frosted Flakes is in there.
Yeah.
For me, Reese's Puffs.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yes.
okay. That's my shit.
I don't like chocolate.
You don't like chocolate? All right, you had to get on this podcast then. You can't be a pro black podcast. You like chocolate.
You don't like
So-
chocolate?
And what was the last one? I probably have to put in Fruit Loops. Just
Yo, Fruit Loops was flame back in the day. Don't
Yeah.
taste
Nah,
it.
not
I don't like
gonna
fruity
lie.
cereals.
The
That's my
Special
problem.
K cereal, they on to
With
Yo,
the
I
yogurt?
used
Which
to
one?
love them shits.
Hey, the
Little
strawberry.
clusters,
Hey,
bro.
bro, that shit. Hey,
Hey, them
bro.
clusters.
When my sister was trying to be on some healthy shit, I would eat them motherfucking boxes like
Them
every
yogurt
day.
clusters.
The yogurt clusters,
Yeah,
the
so
oats.
that's in my I take Fruity Pebbles out.
You
I
take
don't
them
like
out.
it.
Put that back
Yeah.
in.
Hey, that Special K fire.
Weak as hell.
What about y'all? Top 3.
Reese's is not my number one. Frosted Flakes, and I'm debating between Cinnamon Toast Crunch and between.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is overrated to me.
You think so? Why?
Nah,
Only
bro,
because
the
of the
milk is
milk.
delicious
That's only because of the
afterwards.
milk. That's it.
I like the cereal itself. You think it's too sweet? What is it?
Nah, it's just like you gotta, like you only really get into the milk. Like there's certain cereal
I
that
like
you
the
only just
cereal.
trying
I
to
don't know.
you like it because afterwards the milk
Mhm.
is fire. Like I think about Fruit Loops and Frosted Flakes and shit like that. But
I'm gonna go with Cinnamon Toast Crunch. again.
Yeah,
Which one?
I gotta
that's-
disagree.
So Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm a grandmother, so Honey Bunches of Oats are flame. I don't want any disrespect. That shit is good for you too.
So
Sorry, this
I
is
do-
random.
Cornflakes is your third.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
Y'all got me fucked up.
the art that she was talking about is that black woman who be on that commercial. We trying to feed America.
I recently just started trying almond milk.
I
and
love it.
I just did the almond milk with a bit of honey in it, and it tastes
Oh.
like Cheerios.
I've
milk.
never tried that.
You know what's
Dude,
funny is
it's
like
so good.
regular Cheerios and Honey Nut Cheerios. It's a huge gap.
why they did that?
Are
I don't know.
cardboard
Why they did
Cheerios,
that?
bro.
It's a huge
It's
gap.
disgusting.
It's
Rude, disrespectful. Who wants the plain Cheerios? And
They're
even if you get the plain
cardboard.
Cheerios, you still put a little sugar in it. It defeats the
Nah.
purpose.
Are
Like,
y'all
who's
the type
eating
people
just
that
a
put
plain
sugar in
the
your Frosted
Cheerios by
Flakes?
itself?
I used to. I stopped.
I knew
that.
you were a heathen.
I was. Well,
That's
I'm
some terrorist activity.
Nah, cause
Calling it out
I've
now.
been on hard times. I put water in my cereal one time. Hey,
Nicholas.
it's not the.
Before you put
it's not as-
condensed milk for 50 cents, you put water.
No, I'm saying like if you go to the fridge, if you go to the pantry and you fix that bowl of cereal, excited, and you open up that fridge, you ain't got no milk, you be like,
Bruh,
I know
literally-
y'all ate that cereal with no water.
He just told me
But
my
before
life
you
story.
eat it
That was-
by itself, you put water.
I would rather have
Yes.
dry
If
cereal.
you never,
Because
if
you
you
already-
never put water in your cereal, then you ain't.
you ain't a real nigga for real.
Nah,
Nah, I'm a
bruh.
real
You ain't
nigga.
You can't.
I'm
Terrorist
not-
activity.
I'm not
It's because of-
Terrorist activity.
Because it's the cereal so fire. You be
no,
like,
it's
you know
strong.
what?
I gotta
It-
eat.
I gotta eat. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Yeah.
But all right, going back to fat shaming. we need it to be harsh. You got to hit people in their soul sometimes. Like,
I mean, but what if they
Don't
take
talk
it
to
wrong?
me like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, someone could take it completely the wrong way. It's like, oh, so these people think I'm fat and I'm not living right. Okay, let me starve myself, or let me do. You know, this is a sensitive generation. Are we? Listen. Are we not in a sensitive generation now?
I
Look at
think
Dave
you're-
Chappelle. What
I
he's
think you
going through.
hyping this shit.
What
I
is
think
it?
Nah,
going
bruh. People be
Huh?
flipping.
Nick,
What's Dave Chappelle
realistically,
going through?
no, he was just talking about like PC culture and all that. Like, it's so sensitive. You
Yeah.
can't really say much.
Like, in
anyway.
this day and age, you can't tweet shit without someone being offended by it. So, like,
But
fat
people
shit-
always been offended though. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I can never see you talking to me like that ever. Coming to me and be like, "You're fat as fuck." You would never.
I wouldn't say it like
never
that,
in your
but
life.
but like if I saw it as a problem, I'd be like, look, my nigga, like you.
And that's what I'm
you-
talking about.
That's a better way to
That's
go
what
about
I'm
it.
talking
No,
about.
you didn't let me finish. I was like,
Oh,
look,
wait
my
a
nigga,
minute.
like
Oh, wait a minute.
you gaining a lot of weight. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
that's fine.
It's to the point where like you need to either change your clothes or you need to change your habits. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be.
But that's better to me than saying
You
you're
fat as fuck."
fat as fuck, you stupid.
Anyways, she over adding shit. I ain't gonna call you a bitch. Why I gotta call you a bitch about
You
that?
called him a fat fuck.
I said you're a fat motherfucker.
That's
That's all.
All we saying is you ain't got to cuss him out to call him fat. You could just be like, yo, you put on
What hits
weight.
harder? What hits harder?
When my
What-
mom is
what
If
do you
anybody
listen,
calls me fat, it hits hard.
What are you
I
gonna
feel
think
like
about at
you gotta
night?
call
You
me
ain't thinking
fat.
about a nice conversation like, oh, my friend
I'm not
told me
saying it has
about
to be
this.
nice. I'm saying it's not about what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly.
And sometimes you coming to me calling me a fat fuck won't translate as good as saying, listen,
Would you remember it
as
though?
your friend.
I'll
I'll
be
be
mad
mad
at
at
you.
you. And you know,
I'll be
I
mad at you.
won't talk ever
and
again.
that anger, but and if we don't, and you still live a healthier lifestyle, then that's better for me because I wouldn't want you to see. If I see you with diabetes at the age of 35, and then I'm looking at you as a friend, and I'm eating healthy, and I'm like, damn, if I could have probably talked to you at a certain point in time, I could have probably correct your lifestyle to where you don't have to do this. That's what I'm thinking about. I don't. There's certain. Obviously, you're my friend, so I care about you, but there's a certain point I don't give a fuck about what your mentality is at the time. I'm trying
saying
to help
I
you.
agree with you. I'm saying I agree with the culture that people need to hear it sometimes. All I'm trying
We
to
all
say is
agree
that
it needs to be
not
addressed.
not everybody's language is the same. So if for you and your homeboys, it works saying, yo, my nigga, you fat, fix it.
Right.
And that works for them.
Listen,
Cool.
a guy
For
friend
me,
of mine told me,
That don't work.
you haven't been in the gym lately, have you? Me, I'm like, oh, so now I'm overweight. Great. I'm like, I don't have a lot of women.
Sometimes it doesn't take that much.
It
You
don't
gotta-
take shit. It just be like, oh, so I don't look like myself. I'm gaining weight, and I'm just like, I thought I was doing okay.
And women are
you know what I'm
already so
saying?
self-critical.
But that's the reason why he said it because you thought one thing and it's not that's not
But
reality.
now it's in my head. But have I been to the gym? No.
I'm weak.
Like,
You don't have to. I mean, you
I'm
don't
weak.
have to go to the gym to be
I know
active.
what
Yeah,
you're
just
saying.
eat better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eat
Just
better.
to-
I know,
or
I
even
know.
just take a run.
2
Like
miles a day. It'll
exactly,
change your
just-
life.
How many miles?
2 miles.
you see,
I'm gonna say
when
he
you,
said
when you
10
start
miles a
giving
day.
people tips and shit, niggas be like, huh, what? I got
Wait, I heard
Remember,
two, and I still said, huh?
I heard
Yeah,
3
3
months
weeks.
to make
Yeah.
the lifestyle.
She got 3 weeks of bullshit excuses for you.
Listen, let me finish this semester. I'm gonna be back in the gym. Y'all
All
can
right,
quote me
why you
on
gotta
it.
finish the semester though?
My nigga, I don't even sleep. I haven't ate all day. Ask Imani. This is my meal. I had some celery before this.
She's having Chardonnay, by the way.
She's having Shutter's Home.
Okay, I have a nice at home, Chardonnay. That's my dinner and breakfast and lunch.
We gotta challenge ourselves, man.
It's hard. You're 100% right though. It's a lifestyle. It's a commitment. So it's just making that change and making the effort to make a change. So don't tell me I'm a fat fuck, but be like, yo, Neems, take care of yourself. Not looking so good. Like
So for people hearing this conversation, what's like one big takeaway? And we can all talk about this. Like, what's one big takeaway, one tip that you could tell someone like, all right, this is where you could probably start as far as like a healthier lifestyle.
All right, you first.
God damn.
Yeah, it was you, the pharmacist.
Nah, bruh. I mean, okay, from personal experience, not even pharmacy school or anything, just when I realized that I became vegetarian because I realized through my courses that I wasn't knowing what I was eating. I didn't like that. I like to be in control. So I was like, okay, let me eat healthier. Let me know what I'm eating. And I like the results of that. I like that I don't have to go to the gym every day to be fit because I'm having a salad or like I challenge myself now even to have one raw meal a day, meaning either just a meal of fruits, a meal of vegetables, something that's not cooked or processed. And doing those little things every day and seeing the difference and, oh, I have more energy and I don't have to work out as much and I just feel better about myself pushed me further to be more healthy, to take the stairs more or to not always be lazy and whatnot. So I guess my advice is be aware of what you're eating and see what you can change if it's in your, like, I guess, capacity financially or like whatever is going on in your life. If you're able to take that change and do what you need to do do it, and you'll see a difference, and that'll motivate you to go further. So,
my advice would be know what works for you. Like, vegan is not the know-all, be-all way of life, and people think that veganism is the best way to do it. But some people, based on your diet and your health restrictions and things like that, vegan doesn't work. So you may need to eat protein, or you may need to eat meat, or maybe pescatarian is the way for you. So trying different things. You don't want to make yourself sick, because there's some people who completely deprive themselves of protein altogether, and they get sick from things like that. So, and for other people's vice versa. So just trying different diets. We can go back to your ideology of maybe trying it for 2-3 weeks, seeing if it works for you, and if not, you move on to the next thing. There's so many diets out there, and I guess that'll be another thing. Stay away from those like fad diets. I think everybody looked at like Beyonce's diet for when she first came out with that and was like, I'm gonna do this.
Let me be vegan.
She cut out, I don't know what she was eating. She cut out everything.
Well, she got a private chef, first of all. So
She's Beyonce.
Yeah, like she don't. It's not like she's going to K. Roger or Whole Foods and with the shopping
Herself,
cart
right?
with blue on her arm. Like, nah.
Blue on her arm.
She's got him up. She got him up. She's calling up JRob and saying like, "Hey, bro, I need
Right.
this menu real quick."
So I'm saying, like, even like your knowledge is so important. So don't see these celebrity diets and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna work for me. Like, no, Beyonce did that for maybe a couple of months as she was preparing for Coachella, and it worked for her.
Right.
But it might not work for you. It might make you sick. So just be careful about like what you're trying, and seeing what type of diet works for you. That's mine.
I like that.
That's your tip.
That's
Okay.
my tip.
Good. All right, run me back the question one more time.
Well, I was. The question was, what's just like some healthy tip that you could give somebody, just advice to where they could start.
I think a great start to knock out the preservatives is always buy your produce fresh or frozen as the backup. So always try to shop and get, the fresh broccoli, the fresh cauliflower, and the fresh spinach, and you'll find yourself saving money for one, and two, it's eating a little bit more clean. You know what I'm saying? Than your can, pre-seasoned, already salt, preservatives in the can. Because you got to think, you buy a can of spinach and you buy some fresh spinach. That fresh spinach is going to be bad in 3 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
That can of spinach will be there 5 years down the road
Not
when
5
you got no
years.
lights on and you just got to throw something to make it hot. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like you need the first step. A good first step is buying fresh or frozen, and stop buying canned vegetables.
For me, a simple tip would be just try to add a raw vegetable to every meal that you got. So like
When you say raw, like
not cooked, not sautéed or anything, like carrots, broccoli, celery, it doesn't have to be all 3 meals, because you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day, but if just one meal, like add something to that and then build on top of that. And then maybe you'll end up starting cooking more and stuff like that. But if you just add one raw vegetable to your meal, I think that would start a healthier, because at least you can say I did this.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's my tip for y'all. We're gonna switch topics a little bit, because before we get out.
Let me chime one more thing.
Oh,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's good to have an accountability partner. If you
Ooh,
got somebody like your homeboy, your homegirl, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever the case may be, even your parents. If you got someone to do it with, it makes it more fun, and it makes you a little bit more consistent, because you don't want to be the dang. I know they doing it today. I can't.
Yeah.
Not. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I feel like getting you a nice accountability partner. Call it your fresh fit partner, someone you
Fresh
can work
fit
out
partner.
with and eat clean with.
I have a quick story about that relating to that. Like I just told you earlier in the podcast that me and my friends are kind of like all keeping each other, my New York friends keeping each other accountable and stuff. And recently I've been really adamant about like posting content every single day on my cooking page. Just trying to keep consistent with that, try and get more followers and stuff. And I'm more creative at night. Like that's just kind of like my space. And I was doing that, and they took that as I'm having these meals late at night. So I'm cooking all these nice meals and stuff, and they're looking at me like, Imani, you're not supposed to be eating after 8. I'm like, no, I'm not eating after 8, I promise. I take the pictures, and I wrap up the food, and I put it in my meal prep, and I bring it to work with me the next day. So, like, they were really on my ass about that, and they've even keep me accountable of, like, maybe cook a little bit earlier, like when you get off of work, not at 11 o'clock when you're can't sleep and you're trying to find a distraction from that. So that was just kind of like a lesson that I learned this week. The times that you eat.
I appreciate those sentiments and that testimony.
Like I'm in church.
Well, I'm saying these key words for a reason because we go switch topics just because of this. We haven't talked about this, and this has nothing to do with food. And
Oh,
so,
we're just switching gears completely.
because so everybody who's listened to the food and got that education.
Good night.
Good night.
right.
Because we about to get some more
See
nigga
you
shit.
next week.
We didn't talk about 6ix9ine at all. In the whole, JRob, I don't
We
know how familiar. Are you
didn't.
familiar with the whole situation or just like what you see on social media?
I know he was snitching and something like that. I ain't
So
really-
I wanted to bring up that basis pretty much.
Wow.
We talk about testimonies and
Yikes.
accountability.
Okay.
With that whole situation, is there a scenario like did y'all agree with him snitching? If y'all were in the same situation,
Yes.
would you snitch?
Yes. Everybody did it. Everybody did it.
I don't know,
I
man.
don't
I'm
know the
snitching.
story.
So like he was basically he was a musician. He ended up
Was it for weapons?
not he's a musician.
It was a couple stories.
and then he ended
just
up
kinda go down the
linking
timeline.
he ended up linking with a gang.
Right.
And it was
He
kind of
paid
like
his way into the gang. He
Yeah,
didn't do
it's
the
extortion.
Yeah.
so like he'll give him like whatever he makes off of his tour or show,
Mhm.
he'll give him like 2/3 of it and he'll keep the rest just so he can be
trait, whatever.
Trey- that's the Treyway thing, yeah.
So he can be embracing the gang and he can do the gang shit in his videos.
What?
Yeah.
So whack.
So what?
So before he did like initiation, he literally paid his way into the gang. So that's why he could do the signs and the symbols.
That's
and
how he get
yeah.
away with
He a
it.
fake gang member.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So when shit was hitting the fan as far as like he was involved with, because even though he was still like he paid to be in the gang, he still
He
had to do
talked
some
too much
gang
shit.
shit. He still had to be around it.
Mhm.
So they got a I think it was a RICO case or something like that where people were the crimes that other people committed as far as that gang, they was putting him into that as well because he was repping it and he was
Yeah.
you know a part
So he wasn't
of it.
particularly doing it. He wasn't.
He was around it
Yeah.
though, so he could speak on some things, and that's how they was getting everybody, even to like his manager and shit. And obviously for him not to get all them years like everybody else, you got to cop a plea,
Mm.
which is you
They-
got to
they
start
kinda-
telling stories.
How did they
Like-
catch him? What was the charge they got him on
Like
the
the
first
main-
time? Was it
It
a
was-
gun charge or what was that?
I think it was like a robbery or murder,
It was
something like that.
linked to him.
Yeah.
Which to caught them the first time.
Yeah, because that's
to-
what RICO
yeah.
cases is like that. Like
Right.
they'll
Exactly.
they'll get one person to get the whole gang or
Mhm.
something like that. And I do
And
your own research on it.
Apparently, like, because he's part of it's the blood gang that he's a part
It's
of.
Yeah.
Trey,
But it's like
Trey.
they have subdivisions, which I didn't know. So
I don't
like the
understand
blood
gangs.
gang that Cardi B is in is not the same gang that like he's in.
Apparently,
Yeah, not all bloods
not
are
the
alike.
Yeah, apparently. So we
It's
just learned
because
that.
everybody has different areas and regions and
Right,
stuff
right.
like that.
I'm learning so much.
But my main question again was like snitching, and the whole point of
That's crazy.
like what Pharrell was saying on that Pusha T album, "Sorry nigga, I'm trying to come home."
Mhm.
Like the acronym for snitch is like. Is there a scenario? People were going back and forth like, I ain't gonna snitch on nobody. If I'm a part of
He's
this lifestyle, I'm gonna go down with it. Other people like, nigga, shit, I'm not getting in trouble for y'all.
He's facing 40 plus years. If
He-
they came to me,
He was. He might be out by Christmas.
because he said what because he
snitching.
snitched.
He been snitching.
That's why I'm saying your original question was, would you snitch?
The thing about
Yeah.
snitching for me, it's like I agree with okay, let me save my own ass. But if I got myself into a situation just to bring out all my niggas like down, that's wild. That's wild to me. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I don't know. I'm not.
But
Gonna,
those are really
Not
his
gonna get
niggas
myself-
though, because like he had to buy.
That's what I'm
it.
saying. They don't
Yeah.
care about
That's why
him.
he don't care. That's why he
Yeah,
snitched.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
There's also a part of the story where like Jim Jones, apparently he's part of this same Treyway
Yeah,
gang,
didn't he snitch
and
on him too?
Jim Jones was talking shit about him. They don't care about him. He's a money
Yeah.
boat
Yeah.
for him. Like
Yeah.
so, I
Exactly.
guess the brotherhood that you would feel like, I guess if it had to go with like my friends or like my mom, that's a different feeling where it's
Right.
like, all right, I'm not gonna say stuff.
Yeah, a good example would be like, so just like you said, he bought his way into it. He
Mm-hmm.
just wanted for the clout. Clout came and got him. I'm snitching on everybody.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
You know what
Everybody
I'm saying?
did it. That's what I'm saying.
But there's like, so there's no principle in it at all as far as being like in
depends
that
on your
lifestyle?
level in my life.
Do you
That's-
believe in that
That is
principle?
key. The level.
You know.
I mean,
Say I got into some trouble and it was my whole chapter, right?
Mhm.
People you pledge with, people you went through all the nights
Your
with.
bruh.
That's different.
I would not snitch. bro.
exactly.
And I
I
think
would
that's a
not.
big factor because he paid
But
his
what
way
if?
in.
But what if it was like something that happened within your
If
chapter?
you paper,
you-
yeah,
no.
they snitching.
Shout out to the people on paper. They somewhat a part of it. But but as far as like, say you weren't there,
Yeah.
but the people that you knew were there, and it somehow got caught onto you,
me.
linked to you.
That's crazy.
Well,
still
I don't
wouldn't
know.
snitch.
You still would.
I
You'll
still
take the
wouldn't.
you'll
No.
take the
The
big
40
The
plus
thing-
years.
The 40, and that's what's crazy.
Right.
It's so
So
much.
if I knew about it, but I had nothing to do with it, I would figure out some way to get myself out of it without having to bring my people down.
Right.
Because if I don't have no type of link to it,
Right.
I know for a fact I wasn't in it. There's nothing you can get
You
me on.
get literally
Facts.
nothing.
I'm gonna call
Facts.
some lawyer that's gonna get me out of this.
Yeah.
I'm getting
So,
off.
yeah.
If all these rappers and stuff can get off with no charges, like there has to be somebody out here
I'm
to represent
saying.
me, and I wasn't there,
Right.
and I didn't know about it. Oh,
Right.
you're not catching me.
Right.
Nope, nope. I'm not snitching on nobody,
at
and I'm staying at
10:49
home.
p.m. Oh, I was at Kroger.
Right. Gotta ask.
Catch me
Yeah,
doing
my
what?
sandwich.
I was at Kroger.
Nah, that's facts. Yeah, I wouldn't snitch. It depends. It depends on the levels, but to snitch, I don't know.
if it's niggas I don't know.
So what? What are you doing?
Because
right
then
now?
what happens after you snitch on
Well,
niggas that you
I'ma-
don't know,
Yes,
and
go
then
no-
them
Nigga
niggas
died.
get you?
I'm gonna say
He has to go into witness
this.
protective-
I'ma say
protective
this.
services
If it's
after
a-
this.
Oh, he got to
Yeah.
cut
What
them
does
dreads
that
right off.
mean? Like they gonna find some way around that.
I mean, he's
think
very
so?
obvious. Are they gonna take the tattoos off his
That's what I'm
face?
saying. I
It'll
mean,
cost-
witness protected.
It'll cost probably like $1 million
Witness-
to take them shit
Yeah,
off.
witness. What am I trying to say? Witness protection
Yeah.
will change your whole. They'll cut your hair. They'll dye it. I don't know what they're gonna do
They'll
about the
change-
tattoos,
Change
but
They change your identity.
your name,
Yeah,
ID,
they hide-
all
you're
that.
done.
Move you into a new
But
place.
Yeah.
what's the point of living like that? And this nigga wants to obviously
Well, if it's
have
about
a
life
living.
and death, nigga, it's a
I
point.
mean, but
someone gonna find him, bro.
he's gonna get found. He's gonna obviously
He needed.
snitch on himself.
He got to change his
at
name to
this
Hector
point.
Zeroni.
I'm fucking
Couple
dead.
holes.
My nigga Zero.
And start digging.
Okay.
See, and you do anything for clout.
Well, for me, it's just like I've always said, like I'm not going down for nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if I put myself in that situation and I got caught, then
Yeah.
obviously I have to take full responsibility. That's the
Exactly.
accountability.
Like you singing on everybody else that did it when you're the reason that you got yourself into that situation.
yeah, it's like
What's
that's
accountability?
stupid, and that's to me that means you wasn't real in the first place.
Exactly.
But if I'm just the driver, nigga, and like all of a sudden you bringing this bullshit to me, and like I'm like, hold on, bro.
I don't even know him.
Yeah, like if your homie just say, hey, bro, can you come pick me up at this spot? And
Right,
then you get
right.
in the car, he
Yeah,
got hella
yeah,
bags
right.
of money. Talking about some drive, motherfucker, drive. I'm like, all right, bro.
What's
So
up?
whatever happens,
Let
I'm
me call
gonna
the
keep.
police while I'm here.
Nah, I'm gonna keep driving. I'm like, whatever happens, bro, it's a wrap for you. You know what I'm saying?
I got nothing to do with this.
But if we make it out, just cut me one of them bags.
Yeah, like, I'm like, bro, just give me gas money and throw 5 stacks on top of that for
Y'all
my
ain't
troubles.
shit. Gas money.
But yeah, I was just trying to, because we didn't cover it, but I was waiting for the story to be fleshed out and all that, and just to.
I haven't heard much lately after. all
Well,
that
I mean,
stuff.
right now he's while he's in prison, I think they saying he got signed to a $10 million record deal. Because a lot of people were saying like after
Why?
all this
Huh?
shit. After all the shit he's done and all the shit snitching he's been doing, it's like, will anybody really want to listen to his music now? Because he ain't really about that lifestyle.
I
no
wasn't
more.
listening before.
I was kind of listening. Hey, that what was it? That sticky icky.
No.
Yeah,
No,
bro, that shit
absolutely
was fire, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely not.
That Fifi.
The
Fifi,
what?
okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
once
But I'm
again.
just saying, like, people were like kind of questioning, like, will he, based on the climate of the music industry now, will people still accept him? And like, obviously, with him getting, I don't know if that record deal is real or not, but the possibility of that, it just seems like, do we really stand on our, principles like we used to, or was that even real in the first place? Because you hear about the street code all the time, and like, you know what I'm saying, don't snitch, do this, do that.
Niggas be snitching. I mean,
A lot of the famous Frank
of-
Lucas, he snitched.
not even famous. I know niggas that snitched on their boys. Like
Off of
what's
Paid in
up with
Full, Ace Boogie, he snitched like
Yo.
a lot of niggas that we look at as like stand up dudes or like we just emulate like in cinema or just even lifestyle. Like a lot of motherfuckers told
that?
like
No, easily. Like, nah.
so that street shit did.
Yeah, I feel like that shit was never
I
really
don't put
there.
myself in the street shit though, but like this is why, because I can't live by no.
We're selfish people.
Code.
We're selfish people. Naturally, humans are selfish. End of the day, if it's you serving 40 years or you could get out by December, you gonna get out by December. Fuck everybody else. Like
I'm not low key. I'm not even mad at him.
I get it. I don't
I get
respect
it.
it, but I
Yeah,
get it. I don't
yeah.
respect it. I was like, you gonna like take down those that was
Yeah,
with
you
you.
can understand the,
But I be
the
like,
thinking.
to get out by December though.
And then to hear all the behind the
Christmas?
scenes shit about like people weren't really fucking with him. He was
Yeah.
what's that whole story about? Like he was in the car and then people tried to come in and like rob him. Like there was all these stories that
That
came
kidnapping
out.
shit,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like these weren't your brothers. You bought your way in.
You
They
bought your
don't-
way in.
They don't
Exactly.
respect you. Period.
Exactly. Key.
Period. Get out.
Well, shit. if he got a $10 million deal for snitching, hey, shit, a nigga might be singing tomorrow. Don't come around me. It's like, no, I'm just playing. But JRob, appreciate you coming through. Tell the people how they can find you and follow you and all that.
Yeah, man. So again, my name is Chef JRob. My Instagram handle is chef.jrob. That's JRob. Website is www.chefjrob.com. And if you need me for anything, you can find me on either one of those platforms, and I'll be sure to get back with you.
You got anything coming up or any event we can check you out at?
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you said that. Halloween Fright Night, ATL Fright Night 2, actually. The first one was pretty big. I'm doing it with one of my Master Chef friends, Cooking with Cam. Last year was pretty epic. We had a sold-out event. We do an open bar and open food table. You know, you come in your costume, and here's the wristband, actually. This is the wristband. I designed it myself.
Nice.
ATL Fright Night. And you got that wristband on. You're good to go for the whole party. So you can get you unlimited drinks, as much food as you want. Come hungry and sober. You leave the complete opposite.
How much it is to get in?
$50.
$50
$50 is the ticket. And
food
people be like, $50 ticket. Hey, check it out. Look, you got an open food bar and I can attest for both of us, you know, our food slap. You know what I'm saying? You can eat as much as you want, and it's not like, oh, you go to an event and they run out of this. No, not a Chef JRob experience affiliated event. You're going to have plenty.
Are there vegetarian options?
Yes, ma'am. We
That's
got
all I
everything.
What's the dates on those?
October 26th. It's the Saturday. Spellhouse Homecoming.
Oh, bet.
So there's and last year we threw it on the Friday, and we kind of conflicted with some of the events that they had going on. It still was a sold out crowd, but it's like, dang, we didn't grab none of them. So I'm gonna move it to Saturday. So we moved it to Saturday. That's one of their down days. That's after the game. Everybody looking for a move, throw on a costume, come out. Open bar, like I said, if you want one drink, if you want 6 drinks, it does not matter. If you want shots, it does not matter. Like, there's supply for everybody.
You gonna spend $50 on that night
I
anyway
was gonna
going
say,
out.
you
Shit.
think-
Especially how Atlanta clubs be in
Yeah.
lounges,
I'm
but they
saying.
charge at the door.
Right.
Especially if
Okay.
you got
Off rip.
Yeah, especially if a nigga.
Exactly, yeah.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Imani, go ahead, plug your shit as well.
Okay.
You can follow me at Kerrcooks, KerrKooks. Trying to get on the level of Chef JRob over here with a website and stuff, but I am doing meal prep and catering for all your
The
needs.
food is delicious.
Do they just DM you? You got an email or?
Yeah, I have an email. Same thing, kerrcooks@gmail.com. And I'm just building right now. 2020 is going to be a good year. Me and Nick were having a conversation in the car
Yeah.
earlier. All those little elements of like, and I guess it's a little inspiration for anybody who's doing a small business. Take your time. Know one project at a time. Work towards it. So if you're trying to work towards a website or you're trying to work towards building your Instagram page, do those one step at a time and make sure they're done well. Do it to your quality. And then once it's done, move on to the next thing. So my next thing is building a website. But right now, just email me or DM me, and I'll get back to you ASAP here in Atlanta.
All right, Neems, go ahead, plug your little pharmacy shit.
What? Pharmacy?
Your
Yo,
pharmacy shit.
Catch me
not
at
affiliated
CVS from 8 to 4 on Monday through
You gotta chill. Yo, CVS is not affiliated with this podcast at all, bro. They will cut my ass. But y'all can catch me on IG at Naima, NEIMAAA, and _ 2 times. So
All right, you can catch this podcast at NDR513 on Twitter and IG.
Yes.
You can catch me personally if you want to hear some more ignorant shit, or if you want to hear me talk about movies and TV shows. I'm on Frames Per Second as well. If you want to talk about sports, I'm on Dead End Sports with everybody from the Dead End Hip Hop crew at WESISI number 11. So that's us for this week. Again, JRob, appreciate you coming
Thanks
through.
for having me, guys.
Yeah.
nah, glad to have you. Oh, shout out to our nigga Swaff.
Oh yeah, so he just celebrated his birthday. I'm talking shit.
Oh,
Yeah, his
happy birthday.
his birthday was just,
You talking shit about him?
His birthday was like 2 weeks ago, but yeah,
It's
shout out to
birthday
him.
season.
Yeah,
So exciting.
And yeah, shout out to him. He's 27. We all hitting
He
that.
grown.
We getting to that old age, bro. That's why I wanted to have this health conversation, because shit, it's gonna hit us quick. You know what I'm saying?
It's already hitting.
Yeah. But yeah, that's us for this week. We out. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.